Very recently, I heard this concept introduced to me that kind of really shook me and opened up my eyes to new perspectives. And that is that many people do wake up in life, but not many people actually grow up. Well, what does this mean and what's the implication? So let's really explore this. When we talk about waking up, what it kind of really means, at least to me, is this idea of awareness, right? So we can look at the woes of society, be it inequality, injustices, and so forth, pick your poison type of a thing, and, we become aware of them, right? Also just our own stuff, right? So it's both an outward sort of interaction with the world, but also as ourselves of, the things in our life that, we can go towards in terms of our own healing, in terms of bettering ourselves and how we interact with people, all those different things. But not enough people grow up, right? And so, the distinction there is that, you could be aware of something, but if you don't take the next step, then it kind of doesn't amount to much, right? If you're aware of something, it's almost like saying, there's a distinction that I've heard before of wisdom and knowledge, where, knowing how to wash a car, okay, that's knowledge, but wisdom is doing it, right? And obviously that's a banal sort of example, but you can apply that to a much more sort of actionable, more meaningful aspect, right, of knowing and doing something. And so I equate that to this, or graft it onto this in that particular way, because, waking up, you might be aware of something, and in fact, most people, I would even argue now through this lens as I'm seeing it, kind of know the various things that they should be undertaking, and yet we kind of question, well, why don't they? And the reason for that is because there's something underlying in each of us that, is sabotaging ourselves, is preventing us. Like, it's just a roadblock for us to go and do that thing. We don't, and part of that is just a simple, we don't want to take responsibility, right? But part of growing up is that taking of responsibility, and again, in this particular context, like, growing up in many ways is not sexy. We look at enlightenment as this noble pursuit, but it's actually very arduous, and in this sort of scale that I'm laying out, step one would be, okay, you got to wake up, then you got to grow up, and if you're lucky in life, you will attain enlightenment. But to do that, like, as all the great spiritual leaders write about it, enlightenment is a shedding of many of your beliefs, confronting everything, like nothing is hidden, that sort of a thing. And you essentially have to expose yourself to yourself. You have to look in the mirror and face a lot of the deep, dark truths about yourself, and it's painful, but it only lasts for a minute. Like, you can either go a lifetime of unconsciousness and be repeating those patterns and not understand why, or you can face it and change it, right? There's a wonderful Carl Jung quote that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will dictate our lives and we will call it destiny. I might be paraphrasing it, but it's close enough in that respect. And that's kind of really what this is all about. And so the first part of that to, gaining full consciousness is becoming aware of it, but then also doing something about it. And that's what really, to me, this distinction of, many people wake up, not many people grow up, is about, is taking those steps, and so forth, right? It's like anything in life, you want to be a little bit healthier. You got to eat better and, exercise and stuff like that. Like, we tend to sort of overcomplicate stuff and things of that nature. But But with this in particular, I think that the insidious part may be because we're aware of X, Y, and Z, that now we're in this higher position, this elevated state, when really, like, if we view it through the prism of politics, okay, you might be, knowledgeable of various things, but all it's kind of afforded you is just to complain, as opposed to actually go out and fix it or support somebody who's going to fix it, right? So, yeah, that's kind of the way in which I view this. I think there's a number of ways to view such a thing, but I just remember when I first kind of heard that notion, it was just like this wave that just crashed into me and brought all this insight that, in many ways is a little bit hard to explain. But I wanted to introduce the concept and kind of allow you to really sit with it, and process it, and encourage you to comment or hit me up on social media with your thoughts, questions, considerations about this particular topic. I would love to hear from you. Thank you as always. I appreciate you and hope to see you next time.